really good too. Kyle Krasinski, welcome back to the studio. Haven't seen you in a while in here, but I get to wave at you sometimes and all the good stuff. So welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely. And your neck of the woods these days, so you're spending a lot of time with our listeners in the Manistee area, right?
Yeah, your station's coming great up there. I know, like we said, we want to get more partnerships with you, but I listen to you on the way to work and on the way back to work, flipping back and forth between 102.7 and 99.9.
All right, I'm liking that. And that's a good thing. And
that's right.
You like your country music, I hope, right?
I do, yeah. Okay. I go back and forth. I can listen to anything.
All right, love it. And we appreciate those. We actually had a listener up in Kopemish listening to our country station. I'm like, thanks, appreciate that. And Big Rapids, Reed City. I'm like, yeah, we're getting a lot of new listeners to the station.
I love it. It's a good thing. And the reception's great.
For sure. All right, Kyle, let's talk a little bit about what to, and I can't zoom the camera, so I'm going to back you up just a little bit. There you go.
There we go.
There you go. So people can see your shirt because we're going to be talking about WillStrong and the soccer tournament coming up tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're excited. This will be the third annual WillStrong soccer tournament. So it'll be at Bryant Fields from 9 until probably about 4 o'clock in the day. So fingers crossed for good weather. We'll take some clouds because it gets hot out there playing soccer, but raising money for the WillStrong Foundation and the childhood cancer campaign here locally.
And it is going to be a little bit toasty tomorrow. So those that are coming out to spectate, those that are going to be playing, make sure they're hydrated. And you guys usually have a concession stand there too, right?
Yeah, and everything's free. That's the best part. So anything you want to donate, that's great. So there'll be water, Gatorade, hot dogs. I've heard that there might be an ice, like a snow cone maker there as well. So to cool you off. But we have so many great people that are running that concession stand, bringing the food in. And we can talk about those people here too as well as we kind of get going.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about Will's legacy.
Yeah.
Will was your cousin, right?
Yep.
Cousin. Okay. And I just mentioned this a few moments ago on the air, but I only had a chance to meet Will a couple of times. But the impact, the lives that he touched, the community that embraced him here. We saw the WillStrong hashtag just go viral, and especially that last year. It was tough for everybody, of course, but towards the end, the message was, don't forget about what the goal is, and that was to help others that were fighting cancer and moving forward. And if you don't mind touching on Will's life, just for those that are maybe new to the area,
sure.
Those that didn't know Will. He was an incredible individual, but you know him so much more than I can even touch on.
Yeah, it gives me chills, like just listening to you talk about it. And I mean, it's been almost 2-3 years now, but his legacy is incredible that it continues to move on. And somebody that's going through that for childhood cancer, that had melanoma, and wanted to put others before himself while he was struggling was amazing to see. He was always worried about his family over him and his health. He was worried about others in the community. So Will grew up in Ludington, obviously. He passed away in 2021. I believe it was May 31st. And during that time, while he grew up, he was super passionate about soccer, sports, and he was always putting others before himself. And he was always a servant of the Lord, and he believed in everything that was to come with that. And while he was sick towards the end of his life, he said, I want to make a lasting impact before something happens to me, because he knew what his diagnosis was. And being his cousin, we talked about fantasy sports all the time, Michigan football, anything that you could imagine that had to do with sports and life. And he said, why don't I do a soccer tournament and raise some money? And we wanted him to be able to attend his first WillStrong soccer tournament, which would have been that first June when he passed away a couple weeks prior. But this was Will's brainchild, which is even more impressive. So every year we have over 300 participants, which we do again this year, which is awesome.
Yes.
We have 28 teams, just over 300 participants, and that's not even close to how many people come out and just watch soccer and just to be there to donate money to the Childhood Cancer Campaign and the WillStrong Foundation. So this is all Will's doing after his passing. So like that's something that we should all strive to be a little bit more, put others before ourselves, even when you're put in a tough circumstance. But man, I went through like the grieving process, but like now it's just, it makes me smile and like it makes me so ecstatic to continue to put this tournament on and do it in Will's honor too.
Yeah, I agree. And just listening to you, to volley it back over, it's good to hear that that people can continue to come together and have fun, obviously, because he would have wanted that.
Yep.
And in that last phase of his life, to still be out at Oriole Field for a soccer tournament or a concession stand or a
the
fudgy
lemonade
friendly
stands.
exactly, and to be there. So that is, and I hope that we continue, Kyle and everybody else out there, to have this conversation every year. I mean, this is something that I look forward to, having you in the studio to be able to talk about the tournament, and not necessarily recruitment of soccer players, because that happens,
yes.
right? People just say, it's time for the WillStrong soccer tournament. Where do we sign up?
Yep.
Right?
And that's what makes it nice. Like, granted, this is a soccer community too. Like, our community always rallies around a certain event that's going on, whether it's a fundraiser or there's music in the park or whatever that may be. And we were just talking about that. Like, everybody always comes out and supports individuals that are putting on different events. And this event isn't possible without the Welling family that goes out and gets the food and reminds people to sign up. Like, Jamie and Jen are amazing role models who are Will's parents, and just watching them through hard times and still putting others before themselves, like Will was doing, is amazing. Not to mention his sisters Madeline, Claire, and Olivia, and his fiance Randy Stone. It's amazing to see that, and that motivates me every day. That is there times where, like, maybe I'm going through something, and then I'm reminded of there's somebody that's going through something way harder than I am. Like, buck up and figure it out and continue to move forward. But then you got the Bryant soccer field board, or the soccer field board, that was out there lining the fields, getting the goals in place. Like, that's not a small task either. So going out there for hours on hours, lining those fields, it's amazing to see people rally around something like this. And we wouldn't be able to do it without so many people that are donating their time to come out and do this.
Absolutely. And I think last year or the year before, we had that threat of rain a little bit, delayed things. This year, no issues.
Don't jinx that.
I know. Sorry. Knock on wood. No issues with spectators coming out, with the opening ceremonies. That's going to happen about 8:30, right?
Yep, that's the plan. 8:30 opening ceremony. So registration will be about 7:30 to 8:30. We have Avery Bowman, which is what do you call that? A second cousin to Will, who will be singing the national anthem. And then games start at 9 o'clock sharp.
Okay.
And they will be 25-minute games. So 25-minute games, and then it's like set up Macker style, where it's a double elimination. After your 25-minute game, the next team will have about 5 minutes to warm up, and the next game starts. Okay. And then another thing to bring up is I have people reaching out to say, hey, I want to ref. What can I do to donate my time to ref? And everybody knows Steve Wojciechowski. He called me literally yesterday and be like, hey, do you need an extra ref? I want to go out there and do it. Like, let me donate my time. That's just the Ludington difference, in my opinion. Like, so many people are willing to do this stuff, and it's very touching, and it makes putting on an event like this so easy.
Absolutely, and especially now, the third year, you're starting to work out some of the bugs, if there is any. I mean, but
there's always bugs.
But you have such support there. So I guess the question is, do you still need support for tomorrow? Any volunteers? Any additional refs? Where are you at? I know it's coming into the midnight hour, but there are many people out there that are like, hey, we can help. And even at last minute, what do you need?
I think the biggest thing is just coming out and supporting a great cause. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to show up, watch some soccer. You'll see a lot of great athletes from back in the day from Ludington that are out here playing. You're going to see people that are 55, 60-year-old out playing. So we have fields for different skill levels, different ages. So it's just a great event to come out. And if there's people that want to ref and like maybe give a current ref a breather, because that's a long day for the ones that are out there doing it, by all means, just come get a hold of me, and then we can give somebody a breather. But just come, donate your time if you're interested. But if you're not interested and you don't have the time, you just want to stop by for a quick game, come on down. There's free hot dogs, drinks, and I've heard snow cones. Whether or not that's true, I don't know.
Let's make it happen somehow. Bryant Fields, that's where it's happening. And parking-wise, there's usually plenty of parking, but overflow parking or on-street parking, what's the situation there normally?
Yeah, so obviously Bryant Fields has a small parking lot there, and then there's just street parking from there going down over by Floorcraft, but not necessarily into Floorcraft's parking lot. And then there's Lavinia that people drive and park down the roads there, because there is going to be quite a few people there, so there will be cars lined up in the road.
All right, so try to be there, by 8:30 for opening ceremonies. Obviously, show up a little bit earlier than that. You're usually wrapped up by 2, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, with the amount of teams that we have this year, we'll probably, I would guess, about 3:30 this year, just because of how the double elimination works. And the great thing with like the opening ceremonies, John Merchant, he's the one that donates his AV equipment, which I want to make sure Big Daddy Merch got his shout out, because it's amazing when you have a sound system that has music going nonstop, and then you're able to have somebody sing the national anthem and make announcements. So another shout out to another volunteer, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody along the way too.
Yeah. Any other? Well, and I was just going to ask you that if there's any sort of plugs that we need to give attention to and make sure that because I think it's such a people give up a Saturday for an event like this because they want to, not because they have to, right?
Yeah, there's so many people that I can mention. I think another person that needs to mention is two people, Tom and Patricia Izdebski, that run the childhood cancer campaign, and they've been amazing to every family that goes through childhood cancer. And I've known Tom since I was probably 3 years old. I'd run over to Tom's house and steal his Oreos, and just like have that relationship continue to grow growing up is amazing. And those two people make huge impacts in people's lives. And I know the people that were lining the fields, John Stowe, Troy Veneman, Chris Anderson, and Corey Went were all out there, and Brent Bowman. So I know I'm forgetting somebody, but thank you to all of you that made this thing possible. And hopefully today or tomorrow is a great day. And Chris didn't jinx us on the weather, so we'll find out.
Do not put that on me. Anyway, but no. And then the final thing is that, these teams, they paid $250 a team to participate. That going to the Childhood Cancer Campaign, 100% of it, right?
So there's the Childhood Cancer Campaign and the WillStrong Foundation.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
And the Childhood Cancer Campaign, everybody knows that it goes to families locally, which is a huge impact. And then the WillStrong Foundation also goes to families locally, and then there's scholarships for children that went through childhood cancer and that will get a scholarship once they graduate high school. And I know there's so much more that the foundation does too. And I know Jamie and Jen would be able to talk about that when they get the opportunity.
Absolutely. And we'll be out there tomorrow morning. We'll chat with them, hopefully, for a few minutes in regards to that. But I'm glad you clarified that. And that's the best part about it, is that those teams we have somebody coming in the morning. It's so funny. You know him for some reason.
I do.
Yeah. But it's great that 100% of that goes to fighting cancer, because again, going back to the original part of our conversation, Will would have wanted that.
Absolutely, and it's local fighting cancer. It's not going outside of our area, so it's. You don't know what you're going through until you see somebody else struggle, and you want to be there to help in any way possible.
Absolutely, yeah. And keep your friends out of the front of the radio station.
No, I apologize.
I'm just kidding with you. But Kyle, it's good to be able to, at this point, laugh and come together and enjoy the day tomorrow, and still remember what Will was all about, and continue that dream.
Absolutely, still my hero.
You got it, Kyle. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate you and all that you are doing. I know you're wearing your president hat as Filer Credit Union. Congratulations on the new location coming up. Breaking ground soon.
We're hoping in August. We're waiting for a couple other subcontractors, but you'll be one of the first guys I talk to when I get that ceremony set.
All right. Big part of this community, Kyle. You have always been, so we appreciate you.
You as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. 8:50 now. 10 before the top of the hour. Stick around. We've got news and weather coming your way at the top of the hour on 102.7 WMOM.